My mother tried to stab me because I was talking to my friends after 12 at night. Okay, so I don't even know where to start. This is going to be a pretty long one, but please help me out. 16F, lost my dad when I was 14 due to lung cancer. My father was an amazing dad and he was my best friend. He basically knew everything about me. Some context about my mother: I knew I wasn't her favorite out of my two other siblings, 14F, 19M, early on in life. She's always favored my brother over me and my sister because he's a guy, and favored my sister over me because she's the younger one. She made me babysit both my maternal uncle's children, now 11M, 12M, 9M, and do all the household work when I was around 12 too. My father was out of state during those times. She could very well afford more than two maids during that time too, but she just didn't. I broke my leg around the same time, but she didn't take me to the doc until I called my dad crying out of pain, and he sent his employee to take me to his clinic. He flew back the next day and they had a really bad fight. I've a very vivid memory of all of this, but I remember my dad telling her that I'm not a toy she can keep however she wants. Actually, her behavior wasn't as evident before as I had my dad to make it up. I hope that gives you all some idea about it. My mother has been emotionally abusing me since dad passed away, but the physical abuse started around a week and some days ago. I had my exam the next day. It was well past 12 a.m., and I was on a conference with my friends discussing about that exam only. She does not want me having friends. There was one of my guy friend on the line too. I was in the living room when I told everyone I better head to bed. As soon as I opened the door, I saw her standing at the door frame in her nightsuit. She asked me who I was talking to. I said my friends. She said, no, you were also talking to a guy. I replied, yes, it was a conference. She started beating her head with her hands and asked me why I would do this to her. It was like she was having a psychotic episode. I tried to calm her down, but she went inside the kitchen. The living room is attached to the kitchen, and brought a knife. She tried to hold my wrist and slit it as I was trying to push her away as gently as I could in that moment of panic, so I wouldn't end up hurting her. I held her hand, which had the knife, with mine, and she started pinching it with her other. The pinches were so bad they left bruises. When that wasn't working, she took the knife to my chest as an attempt to reach my throat, but ended up giving me a very bad cut around my ribs. I was only wearing a very thin undershirt. She didn't stop even when it started bleeding. When I saw the blood and finally pushed her away with all of my force, she hit the wall and stared, crying while holding her knees. I tried to calm her down yet again, but she pushed me away and went upstairs. I want to clean up the blood, and when I came back, my phone wasn't there. She did give me my phone back a week later. She even banned me from going to school or my tuitions. Okay, so I don't even know where to start. This is going to be a pretty long one, but please help me out. 16F, lost my dad when I was 14 due to lung cancer. My father was an amazing dad and he was my best friend. He basically knew everything about me. Some context about my mother: I knew I wasn't her favorite out of my two other siblings, 14F, 19M, early on in life. She's always favored my brother over me and my sister because he's a guy, and favored my sister over me because she's the younger one. She made me babysit both my maternal uncle's children, now 11M, 12M, 9M, and do all the household work when I was around 12 too. My father was out of state during those times. She could very well afford more than two maids during that time too, but she just didn't. I broke my leg around the same time, but she didn't take me to the doc until I called my dad crying out of pain, and he sent his employee to take me to his clinic. He flew back the next day and they had a really bad fight. I've a very vivid memory of all of this, but I remember my dad telling her that I'm not a toy she can keep however she wants. Actually, her behavior wasn't as evident before as I had my dad to make it up. I hope that gives you all some idea about it. My mother has been emotionally abusing me since dad passed away, but the physical abuse started around a week and some days ago. I had my exam the next day. It was well past 12 a.m., and I was on a conference with my friends discussing about that exam only. She does not want me having friends. There was one of my guy friend on the line too. I was in the living room when I told everyone I better head to bed. As soon as I opened the door, I saw her standing at the door frame in her nightsuit. She asked me who I was talking to. I said my friends. She said, no, you were also talking to a guy. I replied, yes, it was a conference. She started beating her head with her hands and asked me why I would do this to her. It was like she was having a psychotic episode. I tried to calm her down, but she went inside the kitchen. the living room is attached to the kitchen, and brought a knife. She tried to hold my wrist and slid it as I was trying to push her away as gently as I could in that moment of panic, so I wouldn't end up hurting her. I held her hand, which had the knife, with mine, and she started pinching it with her other. The pinches were so bad they left bruises. When that wasn't working, she took the knife to my chest as an attempt to reach my throat, but ended up giving me a very bad cut around my ribs. I was only wearing a very thin undershirt. She didn't stop even when it started bleeding. When I saw the blood and finally pushed her away with all of my force, she hit the wall and stared, crying while holding her knees. I tried to calm her down yet again, but she pushed me away and went upstairs. I want to clean up the blood, and when I came back, my phone wasn't there. She did give me my phone back a week later. She even banned me from going to school or my tuitions. Now, since that day, she gets frustrated so easily and hits me any chance she gets. She hit me with a belt because I didn't clean up the cupboard. My sister messed it up, and I had just come back from my tuitions of 4 hours. She tried to choke me because I told her I'd do the dishes after I completed studying for my tests. So it's pretty bad. I did tell my brother, but he instead asked my mother if she did that. He saw the bruises and a picture of the cut too. And as you may guess, my mother hit me for telling him too. I would report her, but she's a good mother to both of my siblings, and I don't want my sister to lose both of her parents. Yes, I'm sure she doesn't abuse my sister or brother in any way. My friend who lives on the other side of the country offered to buy me tickets and I could fly to him. But honestly, that would just make it all worse. My father was a well-known investor and has a lot of property. And it is a lot. I can't inherit any of it until I'm 18, obviously. He had a college fund for me too, but I can't access it until I'm 18 either. Legally, I've turned 15 this year. Yeah, they changed my birth year for some school admission thing. So I'll be inheriting any of it 3 years later only. I have plans to study on the other side of the country, and I need her to fund me. I think she's just looking for reasons to make me stay here and torture me. How do I collect the money to go study? Where I live, teenagers don't really do part-time, especially not girls. It's all too tiring, honestly, and I can't deal with all of this anymore. Help me out with anything ADP. Please. Edit. Hey guys. Like how you update, but I hope it's this way only. To start with, I'm very thankful for all the messages and comments. Well, most of the comments told me to document the bruises, and I've been doing that. I did fight back, but it backfired horribly. The abuse is still on, but I've been out of the house mostly. I haven't slept well since ages because of the nightmares I get every night. Maybe I have a good news too. There is this huge football academy which is coming to my state for trails on May 23rd. This academy provides accommodation, food, education, all while you get to play for them. I'd say I'm pretty good at football. I've played professionally too until my father was alive. I do practice when I go to my tuitions with a girl from my old school. Obviously, my mother doesn't know about it, but my tutor does. There are chances I might get selected, and I really hope I will. I'll update you guys. That's all I have for now. I'll probably update after the trials. Pray for me. Now on to the next story, Story 2. My narc mom doesn't get it. So it's Mother's Day and my mom is absent in our lives until now. I won't go into my whole life story, but DR tried her best but made hard by being emotionally unstable, unavailable, and would aid it with alcohol and verbal fights. Okay, the reason why we're here. I, elder sibling, got kicked out with my dad in 2021. Shit got worse in early 2022 with her in financial. Kicked my second oldest sister out during that time. Mom's mom died later that year in September. Forced the rest of my younger siblings to live with us for no reason after it. Horrible funeral/week due to her shit-talking, and has been absent pretty much since then. Sure, my younger siblings had the visits every other week, but it slowly turned into months and now going into more than half a year. During the months of no visits, she would text my younger siblings through social media. We come from a foreign family, so older family members don't have much of an English grasp, unless it's my dad, multilingual MF, and her messages got more articulated in English grammar. At first, it was more noticeable with the emails between my parents with her usual simple and poor one sentences, all of sudden proper English with paragraphs. It took so time after those first emails that the text between my siblings and mom started to look the same as the emails. This may be wrong on our part, but we had suspicion that someone else was texting for her. So dad found some new guy that was friends on Facebook with her, And when the kids visited her, they confirmed that it was the same guy living with her. Dad found the 2 ex-wives out of 3 of his and found out he's a huge con artist that's not allowed to fly internationally. Due to his arrest as a con artist, his visa is stripped. The new boyfriend's plan usually was to meet some hopeless women, have a kid, and then get married, then proceeded to lie about needing money for sick family in the USA. At first he was in the USA, then left to the C80 after he left his first wife. He proceeded to do that for the rest of them. Currently, he's not allowed to talk to the kids from his first and one of the kids from his third ex-wives, while he's still allowed visitation rights for the other one and the one he has with his second ex-wife. You may be wondering why this was included, but it's because since Dad still talks to the second and third ex-wives, he's found out that Mom has been seeing her boy toys kids more than her own kids, since he needs a supervisor when he visits his kids. When we found out he was texting for Mom, Dad emailed them telling him to stop texting to the younger kids as Mom, or else the cops were going to get involved. He replied showing no means to stop, and this had happened in December 2022, January 2023. Ever since then they stopped trying to hide the fact that it was him texting as her, and slowly over time though we had blocked her on all social media platforms. Before we had blocked her though, my oldest younger sister started texting Mom telling her to leave us alone and that, as the kids didn't want anything to do with her anymore until she stopped the abusive cycle she's put us all in. During all of that, she was calling the same sister at random times at night, which started to affect her mental health really badly, and she couldn't go to school cause of it. It got worse when she randomly showed up at her and my little brother's school doing something with their school information. Mom tried saying hi and saying she missed them, which scared my sister more, thinking she was going to show up again. She tried telling Mom that what she was doing was affecting her really badly. They proceeded to respond in the most foolish way, thinking that Dad was texting, when my sister was trying to be the most professional she could be in that situation. After that situation, all the siblings blocked Mom on everything, and Mom had previous encounters on social media already. So I kept her unblocked on Gmail so I could laugh at the emails she can send, like today. The first email is proof how they would respond when though it was Dad, and the second one is from today, and you can see the grammatical difference between the two, which explains our suspicions and why we did what we did. By the way, the reason why we can't do anything to restrict communication between Mom and my siblings is because here we have a law where only 15 plus can get some sort of a restraining order against someone, and the oldest sibling of the youngest is a year or two from being able to. And for Dad, this all still going through court trials. This why 2022 was shitty to begin with. Because of that, Dad's been trying cooperative while Mom has been doing the complete opposite, causing the court stuff to drag on. As much as what we're doing isn't the nicest or what you would call supportive, but 18 plus years of neglect, harm, and deprivation has caused a lot of pain and struggle coming into adulthood, and with Mom doing these moments still, I feel like I'm getting dragged back into my little self. Every one of my siblings shows their hurt from her in their different ways, but not gonna lie, with these months of no communication with Mom, I've seen my family grow into people we should have been growing up with her. I don't have my old habits like tiptoeing every day just for talk or food, or having to blast music 24/7 into headphones because she'd always scream at anyone for doing something wrong. We joke without worrying about someone commenting negative. We can play in rough house without yelling. We can be loud without someone screaming to shut the hell up. We can do our chores whenever we can, not being screamed at to do it at this moment. There's been ups and downs with our growth, but this is a lot better than being not human living with her. This year's Mother's Day hasn't been pleasant, but I do enjoy the company of my grandmas, alive and dead. Happy Mother's Day. And now last story, story 3. Mom got scammed again and now I'm done. I have posted here before, so maybe this is an update of sorts. My 68-year-old mother is losing her mind. Has been for a while now. We knew she had been conversing with several people online for over a year, most of which claimed to be famous men and all of which needed money for various things. We had been telling her since December that she was being scammed, tried involving DHR and the agency who helps protect seniors, all falling on deaf ears. Courts won't do anything without a medical diagnosis. Neurologist appointments take months, so we're just stuck trying to keep her from self-destructing until then. End of February, she finally admits she needs help. Actually, she called my brother and said she was broke and he needed to fix it, but we'll say that was asking for help. Per the bank, her home was a few hours from going into foreclosure on the day we got the call from her, and her utilities were turned off the very next week. She has over $100,000 in credit card debt, most of it from sending these men pictures of every single credit card she has. She also gave them all of her bank account information and sent at least $30,000 in cash via Bitcoin ATMs or prepaid gift cards. I'm not sure I'll ever know exactly what she has spent on them, but I do know she owes $7,000 in taxes this year from all the withdrawals she made to her retirement, which she freely admits she sent to these men. She also still swears every one of them are actually all the celebrities they claim to be, and still truly believes one of them is the love of her life. My brother and I told her the only way we'd help is if she gave us power of attorney, which she did. We then caught up her house payments and reconnected the utilities. I have been going through her bills as I pay all of them and trying to help her budget, including finding her cheaper internet, TV, and cell phone plans so she'll be able to pay her own bills going forward on her fixed income. She has been beyond nasty to me every step of the way, telling me what a disappointment I am and she wishes I was never born. There have been *I threats, to which she laughed in my face and told the police she would never do anything that dramatic. She calls me almost daily and tells me she fell, only for myself or the ambulance to rush over, and have her admit she wasn't actually hurt but was hoping a trip to the ER would get her pain meds. I took her phone, created a new Apple ID, and had it set so she couldn't text or call anyone not saved in her contacts, and she can't add people or numbers or apps without my approval. Only thing short of changing her number I could do to stop her contact with these scammers. She adamantly refused to change the number because she's had that one for 30+ years. But she has still been getting hundreds of texts from 6-digit numbers. I'm guessing because she responded to them in the past, so they were able to get around the block. I have told her 1,000 times not to even open them, delete them, or send them to junk. She had hip replacement surgery this past week. While in the hospital, she received a text telling her she won a free oxygen machine. Call this number to claim your prize. She texts me and tells me she needs to add this number to her phone because it's a home health medical equipment company and she wants to talk to them about Life Alert. So I add their number. She calls and they tell her she just needs to give them her bank account information to cover the shipping, and she gives it to them. Then she calls to crow about her winnings. I call the same number, and what do you know? I'm also an instant winner if I will just give them my bank account information. Hit 0 to speak with a person, and now I've won a free year of DirecTV. Hit 0 again, and now I've won a free year of pest control from Terminix if I just enter my bank account information. So a total scam that my mother has again fallen for while laying in her hospital bed recovering from surgery. Like the last 2 months didn't happen. Like she has learned nothing from this whole experience. She does not even need an oxygen machine, but decided that since her parents had breathing issues at the end of their lives, and because it was free, this opportunity was too good to pass up in case she needs one later. She tells me to just call them back and cancel, because I'm sure the kind phone scammers will totally forget your bank account if I just ask nicely. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, she has been showing signs of progressive dementia and is at moderate/moderately severe cognitive decline on the staging models. So I get it. This is the new normal for her. She no longer possesses the mental capacity to understand real from fake, and she will continue to fall for stuff like this as long as she's alive. And I can't do anything to stop it. I can just crawl along behind her and try to fix it while hoping she shows up to the neuro in May, so I can get the courts to intervene. She will always be a danger to herself and her own well-being, with the added bonus of being awful to me every step of the way. So I have decided I am done trying to save her from herself. I'm opening another new bank account for her tomorrow and putting what little money she still has in it. I have turned off all the automatic payments that have been coming out of my account and will be turning off all of the parental controls I had established on her electronics. Then I'm telling her good luck. Don't call me when you're on fire again. And then I'm blocking her on my phone. My brother and I believe she'll be in a mess again by the 4th of July. Her problem, not ours. I have had a heart issue for 2 years now, inappropriate sinus tachycardia that isn't responding to medications. Both of my cardiologists have told me that stress is exacerbating my condition. I've lost 25 pounds over the last 3 months, which I'm also chalking up to stress. I literally cannot explain the peace I feel in my soul tonight knowing that I have done everything I could for this woman, and now I just get to be done tomorrow. It's complicated and sad and frustrating, because oh how I have tried to help her, and I know how this will end. But it's also so very calming to know that I'm done. I'm free.